But you just took a point guard. Now you're taking another point guard to pick later? That didn't make any sense.
Steph Curry would be a great compliment because of his shooting skill to one Ricky Rubio. And instead, David Stern walked to the podium, and with the pick in at number 6 and the selection by David Kahn, the general manager, Johnny Flynn's name was called and not Steph Curry.
With the 7th pick in the 2009 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Stephen Curry from Davidson College.
There were questions about his physical size. There were questions about him actually making that change over to a true point guard position. You know, he had a propensity to turn the basketball over, so there were some questions.
One thing you didn't question, though, was his ability to make jump shots. And the other thing I don't think anybody probably knew about or didn't know enough about was how dedicated he was to improving his game.
It's a dream come true for me, you know, being around the NBA, watching my dad play, and now it's my turn.
I was, I guess, unfortunate to play against Steph my 1 year at UCLA Davidson. We played them in the John Wooden Classic in Anaheim, and Russell Westbrook guarded him for the whole game. And I remember thinking, wow, this kid is as good as advertised, maybe better.
Larry Riley at the time was the general manager of the Golden State Warriors. And I had a conversation with Larry Riley the night before the draft. Of all the general managers in the NBA, he was the only one who was sure that this was a point guard that was going to have great longevity in the NBA and become a very, very good player.
Larry Riley is the guy that got Steph Curry to Golden State. He was the guy that believed in Steph Curry and wanted to take him and resisted the urge to make the deal that everybody else wanted to make, which was to send that pick to Phoenix for Amari Stoudemire for a quick fix.
Taking the long view required patience, and Curry's arrival in Oakland meant delayed gratification for Golden State fans. Steph missed 66 games over his first 3 seasons, during which the Dubs were a combined 60 games under 500.
The interesting thing with Steph was, if you remember, in year 3, he had a lot of injuries with his ankles and then he ended up playing just 23 games in that season. So there were a lot of question marks even in Golden State about what was the potential of Steph Curry and what they were going to do with him.
He really struggled during his early years, both in his play and with his injuries to his foot. And after getting that corrected, he came back, was able to play injury-free, and then his work ethic, his skill began to take over, you know, on to greatness.
Curry began answering those questions in his 4th year, when he broke the NBA record for three-pointers in a season and led the Warriors to the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. Meanwhile, Minnesota's selection 1 spot ahead of Curry in 2009, the injury-plagued Johnny Flynn was already out of the league.
I was able to coach Johnny in Houston for a while, and, you know, Johnny was hurt at that time. He had a real severe hip injury. He never came back from that, and I don't think anybody understood at the time how badly he was hurt and how much it really affected his gait, how much it affected his quickness, his explosiveness, all the things that made Johnny Flynn a good player really kind of ended with that hip injury.
And the dream season is now complete. The Golden State Warriors are the 2015 NBA champions.
The Warriors' historic success the last 4 seasons can be traced directly to draft night 2009, when Golden State grabbed Curry with that 7th pick. But what if the Timberwolves had taken Steph instead of Flynn with the 6th selection?
If the Minnesota Timberwolves had not passed on Steph, you'd be looking at a completely different team. There probably is no Kevin Durant. There probably is no Andre Iguodala, who came here because he saw a young core and was like, man, I like those guys and it would be fun to play with them.
Almost like a generational talent. He does things differently. You know, he does it in different ways than, say, LeBron James does. But, you know, it's tough to say. He means so much to that team, and, yeah, I don't know if the Warriors would be the same.
I always have supreme confidence in myself that with the opportunity I would have had, regardless if it was in Minnesota or here, that I could have done something with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would have been a little bit colder. My wardrobe may have changed a little bit.
You probably don't have Klay Thompson because the year you draft Klay, you're probably further up in the lottery. And if you're even further up, then the basketball minds didn't think Klay was good enough to go that high. So then you don't have Klay Thompson.
Obviously, there'd be no Splash Brothers. Passed on me, too. Don't forget about that. And what else? He'd be raining threes in the frozen tundra, that's for sure.
If Minnesota takes Steph Curry, chances are he still becomes a great shooter, but there's no Splash Brothers. There's no transformational change in the NBA.
Obviously, I don't think we'd be hanging two banners. I wouldn't have, you know, those MVP trophies for the franchise and for Steph. Now, he might have, but not the Warriors. There would not be as many number 30s inspired around the Bay Area, all of California.
You're probably a couple championships short, even one more finals appearance short, possibly still in the lottery, which is not a good thing.